Hi, Kevin from the awareness.website, and yes, you know it, this is this week's Continuing Classroom Classics video. The move we're going over is move number 20, fist under elbow. Another short little move, but there's some really neat stuff in it. So stay tuned, hang in, and we'll be right back. Alright, move number 20, fist under elbow. So this move is done only once in the set, but it's very similar to play the paper and step up, raise hands, although step up, raise hands on the opposite side. But the action of it, going into it, is fairly similar kind of feeling to it, and then the feet placement is the same. So it should be fairly familiar in that regard, but of course getting into it, going in from diagonal single whip is, you know, the biggest difference there. So we're going to get right into it here. So we're going to take it from the diagonal single whip. I like to do it that way because it kind of gets a flow to it, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. So there's a couple little dynamics and a little bit of timing things that we want to pay attention to, but also too with the equal and opposite exercise. So this exercise where we're doing this reeling silk idea, so the equal and opposite. So one arm's going out, the other's coming in. So there's sort of this separation going on. So you'll see where that fits into this move very well. Okay, so diagonal single whip. So in the set, if you've come around from this corner, to come around from the carry tiger to mountain, you come up into diagonal single whip. So your feet are at straight over to the side and 45 degrees. So in terms of you going through the set, this is your starting facing position. So diagonal single whip is in that position relative to that starting point. Okay, so you've come up, you've expressed out to the side, you step 90 degrees, turn forward, step to 45, turn to the 45, express out with the arms. Now as the weight goes into this leg, you're going to stand up, separate the hands, put the heel down, like in play the paper, and then sit down, turn forward, and the right fist slides under the left elbow as you sit down. So the timing of that is a little bit tricky. There's a tendency to want to come up too soon. Diagonal single whip, 90 degree, turn, 45 degree, turn. So the tendency is to just sort of pop up out of it and then flail around with the arms. You want to keep relaxed into it. So this isn't a big step. It's not a big Toyu type stretch. Same principles as Toyu, but it's just sort of a walking through step. Turn and express the arms out, and when the weight goes into the right leg, you stand up. The right arm continues to go forward, comes around. The left hand separates. So there's this separation. So as you're standing up, the hands separate. So don't stand up, then separate the hands. It goes together. So you want to have that connection. So you express, stand up and separate, get the weight balanced in the right leg, place the left heel in front, and then you, as the left arm comes forward and the right fist slides along the arm, you just gently turn and sit into the hip, so you end up facing forward. So your right arm is a bar across, so you don't want to pull the arm in against the body. It's just the fist comes in and the arm is flat across in front. So I'll turn and show you facing a different direction here. Diagonal single whip, 90 degrees, turn, 45, turn, stand up and separate, heel down in front, and then just gently sit back into the hips and the arms line up in front. looking straight ahead, of course. So again, that sitting down, so you're up, all the weight's balanced in the right leg, heel, and then as you turn and sit, the arms come together and just relax into the hips. So you don't want to push forward, leaning out. You want the weight to go down, much like a Danyu. So a Danyu, you just sit down, slight angle to the body, but you don't want to lean forward to push the arms down. Same thing here. Express out, so the arms express, stand up and separate, heel down, turn and sit, fist under elbow. So notice my hips just sit down, the front knee bends. It's a tendency for a lot of people to keep that leg straight, and see how it makes me tip forward. So that front knee is slightly bent. The right fist comes in this position, so the thumb would be up, making a fist under the elbow. Left hand is palm forward. Slight bend, don't push the arm all the way out, just expresses. Just let the joints open up and relax into the right leg. So this heel is just a slight bit of pressure on it, maybe 5% of your weight sort of thing, just to stabilize the hips so you can turn and sit down. So yeah, there are a couple of things come up with this. Again, it's the same foot position as raise hands, step up. So when you go to sit down, don't step out too far. If you kick this leg out, see what happens with my hips? My hips go forward, and then it's kind of awkward. So it's not a big step. So you should be able to just line this foot just slightly in front of the other one, but at that same toyu kind of alignment. So one foot on either side of the line. So don't take a big step with that, but don't take too small of a step. Sometimes people will put this in too close, and that's very hard to sit down. And you can't really sit too far unless you're really, really flexible. So just come up. Put the heel down, just slightly in front of the other one, turn, sit down, and let the arms express. Again, equal and opposite. So one's going out, the other's coming in. Just like here, one's going out as the other one's coming in, and then they reverse, equal and opposite. So a very simple move, short little section, but getting that timing is very critical. If you can start to get that feeling of separating, very much like stork spreads wings. So you're standing and the arms are separating. This is the same thing as you're standing and the arms are separating. If you can start to get that, it has a really neat effect on the body and lining up the spine and stretching things out. So play around with that. And try and get that timing. Try and see where that fits in with the other moves, like play the pepa, same kind of idea where you're doing the brush knee, you half step, you stand up, and the hands separate, put the heel down, and then turn forward, sit, and the arms come together. So it's very, very similar. Same with raise hand, step up, just on the opposite side. So let's do some follow along.
Just hang on a sec.
Oh.
You were sharing with us about the two different ways of with the hand. Did you want to go into that?
Oh, yeah, I suppose I could. Yeah, Shelley was just bringing up. This is great. She comes on in the video with me. When I was taught this move, there was some slight differences in what the left arm did. And I kind of have a preference just because of the way it feels for me, but I'll show you. I was showing the class here and just kind of explaining the differences a little bit. So when you stand up and separate, the arms separate. Now typically I teach it where the right hand is pushing out and it comes around in a sort of a circle a little bit. but don't turn the body. The arm just sort of comes up, locates out in front, and notice I'm still more or less to the 45. The left hand presses down, kind of like in grassward's tail or some of the other moves where the hand is pressing down and turning, like brush knees. So it separates like that. When I was taught this move, my instructor had us so we turn the hand palm up and then put the heel down, and then it turns and pushes out. And for me, there's a tendency when you do that, there's a tendency to want to pull the arm back, so it's kind of binding up in the shoulder, and it doesn't feel that comfortable in the ribs for me. I guess as long as you keep it low, but it doesn't have the same feeling of separating for me. So pressing down with the hand, with the palm pressing down, step, and then it just sort of naturally comes into place and pushes out. So the elbow lines up in behind the hand. So it comes up. So when you put the heel down, that's just the trigger for the elbow to line in behind the hand and the arm to come straight out in line with the left leg. If you pull it in, it kind of loses the balance with this for some reason if you turn this. So you can play around with that yourself a little bit. Like I say, I tend to prefer pressing down. It keeps it simple. It's just a nice opening up in the chest, heel, and then sit down and fist under elbow. So yeah, thanks Shelly for reminding me on that.
Just we don't have another opportunity later to, because it's only done once.
It's only done once. It's such a fun move. And there's some elements, like when you get into low cup and stuff like that, there's some elements of the arms moving in connection with how the spine's working, that this particular move is kind of reminiscent of that. So it's kind of fun, a neat feeling that goes on once you get really relaxed and get the arms connected with the turn. So let's do some follow along. We can do some follow along now? Okay, all right, let's do some follow along. So we'll do it as though you're behind me in the set to start with, and we'll take it from the diagonal single whip, go through diagonal into the fist under elbow. So if we're here, if you're standing behind me to start the set, this is where we'll be with diagonal single whip. So the right foot is facing that way, the left toe is facing towards that direction, the hands are pressing towards that wall. So you stand up and press out, 90-degree step, drop the elbows, turn forward, 45, make sure you get to 45, and then separate as you stand up, place the heel, and then square to the front as the fist slides under the elbow and sit back. Okay, let's do that again. And just a quick note, I forgot to mention, when you do that diagonal, make sure you get the 45, because that sets up the heel step in a 45-degree angle for your fist under elbow. If you don't get that 45, and if it's in a little bit too narrow, then it makes it really tight and kind of squished to sit down with. Same with if you get it too wide. If you go way out here, then sitting down, your legs are like way too wide. So you want to make sure you get that 45 so this leg bone lines up with the angle of the foot without straining the knee or anything. Okay, here we go again. Diagonal single whip, up and express, 90 degrees, turn, 45, turn, express and open as you stand, place the heel in front, sit back, fist under elbow. Keep the body balanced over the right leg. One more time. Up, diagonal single whip, turn, 45, turn, express and open as you stand, heel, sit down, fist under elbow. One more time. The instructor's favorite phrase. Diagonal single whip, up, turn, step and turn, up and open, heel, sit down, square to the front. Okay. Don't know if we need to try another angle. What do you think, Shelley? Try another angle?
Sure.
Okay, let's go from this angle, facing the opposite direction. So fist and, or diagonal single whip, up, turn, turn, up and open, heel, sit back, fist under elbow. Okay, we'll do that a couple more times. Diagonal single whip, turn, turn, up, heel first, then sit back and bring the fist under the elbow. So again, when you do the steps, make sure you get the step before you turn. One more time. Step, turn, up and open, heel, turn and sit down. Okay, so practice, play around with that a little bit. And you know, I know lots of you are out there practicing and watching our videos. So let us hear from you. Let us know what you think of the videos. Is it helping? Is there other things you might want to see or hear about, or you got any questions? Just so we kind of hear from you. There's a few people that we hear from lots, and and this is great, but we know there's lots more out there that we're not hearing from. So by all means, send us your emails, send us your comments, let us know what's going on with you and your Tai Chi. Check out the website, like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye.